And I have Shelane with me from onlinejob.ph. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, thanks. Let's just start a little bit about onlineJobs.ph, and then anything you want to go into from there.
Okay. Well, we're going to throw everyone today a little bit of a curveball because I got in touch with, is it Josh or Joshua? Which do you prefer?
Josh.
I got in touch with Josh to see if he could do a case study for us and talk to us a little bit about how he utilizes Filipino VAs.
Yeah.
So I would be thrilled to answer any questions that I'm capable of answering about online jobs directly. And I'm also excited to hear a little bit more. Sorry for those of you who may already know Josh's backstory. I would love to cover some of that today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be good.
Okay, so you okay if we start out and kind of turn the tables there and talk about your business, how you got started, and then we can go right into how you utilize VAs.
Yeah, sure. I'm up for it for sure. I mean, so my
Great.
business, that you obviously real estate investor. We do a lot of wholesaling. We're in the Mid-Atlantic here in Maryland. I basically got started from cold calling. And my mind was really blown about 6 years ago when I found out about Mojo Dialer, and I found out you could buy a list of all the vacant houses. So I really started with my cell phone and just like driving for dollars and finding vacant houses. And then when I found out you could buy the whole list and then put it into like a dialer and hit go and just rotate through, that was like life-changing for me. So, got into my own first deal doing that. And basically my wife came back and heard me. I dialed every day from like 4 to 6 p.m. And one day, basically, she was like, you can pick up the phone and like pull out these deals for like 20,000 or more dollars. Like, why don't you quit your job? And I was like, quit my job? What do you mean? We have our second kid on the way. This is like nuts. Who does that? And she's like, you should do it. And so anyway, I ended up doing it. And then I really didn't know what to do next besides just make cold calls, right? So I had done one deal and sold one deal, and I didn't know what else to do. So I was just like, I need to hire some other cold callers because that's what I'm good at. And so if we can have more cold callers, then we can probably grow our business, right? So I had no idea where to hire, and truthfully, I couldn't afford to hire anyone here in the US. And so I had read the 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss, and he talks about scaling your time and getting more of your time back. And one of the ways that he talked about doing it was through virtual assistants. And that sounded as foreign and exotic to me when I heard it as it probably does to our parents or our aunts and uncles, right? People of their age. I think the term virtual assistant has become mainstream now for us entrepreneurs and real estate investors, but a lot of other people have no idea that you can hire the services and time of other people around the world. And so long story short, it was, I hired I don't even know how I found onlinejobs.ph. I would just assume a Google search, and I arrived, and I don't even think I paid for my first like job listing or whatever. But started getting some applicants, and then it said, hey, why don't you upgrade? And I upgraded, and I got way more applicants. And I think probably the first week in, I had my first virtual assistant calling people. And that was it opened my eyes to what is possible in that, this is my business. I shouldn't be everything to everybody. So my mind was just blown with possibilities there at the very beginning. So for my first virtual assistant, came from onlinejobs.ph, just from an ad that I wrote. And it's a resource that I've continued to use over the years. So I'm going to be happy to go in any direction with that.
Okay, awesome. Can you tell us, first of all, how many virtual assistants do you have working for you right now?
I think we have 6 right now.
Okay, and could you detail for us what they do for you exactly?
Sure, absolutely. So we have 2 virtual assistant cold callers. That is outbound lead generation. So we're giving them big, long list of prospects, vacant houses, of free and clear houses, people who are older, all these kind of lists that real estate investors pull. That's who they're cold calling for us. So we have 2 of those. We have 1 outbound SMS specialist, so just texting people all day long. We have 2 follow-up specialists So they're calling all of our leads that are already in our CRM. So they're just calling them and finding out if now is the right time to buy and what kind of information we can get from them to qualify that lead. So we have two of them. I have my personal assistant who's based in the Philippines, and he just does a lot of marketing work for me and some transaction stuff. And I actually have more than 6. We have 8 because I have my most recent addition was a marketing assistant who's going to help clean and scrub and upload and deploy all of our marketing lists. And then about 3 months ago, I hired a social media coordinator and video editor. So all she does full time for me is take videos like this and edit them down and make them into Instagram content, YouTube content, and all that kind of stuff. So we actually have 8 virtual assistants working for us currently.
And which would you say is the most game changing for you? If you were to advise someone in the real estate business, you need a VA to do this one thing, what would you say?
For me in my business, that's easy. It's the cold callers because that's what I was good at. And so that's what I kept doing because I kept saying, well, I'm making money, so I should still be doing it. Well, then I realized if I had cold callers and they just passed me the leads and I could talk to all the leads and make the offers, well, then my time was even more valuable. So for anyone starting out, even my coaching students, it's all about making sure that you have one channel nailed, one marketing channel. And usually for what I recommend is cold calling. So definitely a VA to start your cold calling and outbound lead generation.
Nice. And it seems like that would just be incredibly time consuming to do on your own. So what are the other time consuming tasks that you feel like are best invested into a VA and their abilities?
Anything that is repeatable. So it gets a little hairier when you have to make more intimate decisions that have an impact for things on the rest of your company. But if it's something that's repeatable with a process and scalable, I think you can hire virtual assistants to do almost anything, at least if you bring in the right people. So that's really important when you are attracting talent for any position. You have to know who you're looking for, what they should be good at, what kind of prior jobs they've had, just certain things like that. So I think anything, as long as there's a process. And for us, it's like making a screen sharing video. So I will go, through my CRM and ask one of our assistants to do something, and I just make a screen capture video and send it to them. Just say, let me know if anything's unclear. Yeah. But most of the time, they can take that video and repeat over and over again, which makes it very easy to outsource.
So you've talked a couple of times about finding the right person, and you've hired 6 to 8 people. We have over 1 million people in our database, 1 million super capable and talented VAs. And I know I've heard from other entrepreneurs that the whittling down process can be exciting. We're going to use that word. So can you tell us how you attract with these job posts, how you attract the right people, and then how you whittle them down to find that right person for you?
Yeah, this is good. This is really important. And I only found this process through doing it over and over again. So let me talk about like the wrong way first, so then I can contrast it. But the wrong way is putting just a very straightforward job description. We're seeking another team member to make cold calls on an hourly basis, and you'll be paid $4 an hour. That kind of language is the beginning of the wrong way. And then the next wrong thing to do would be to try to answer every application that came back in, especially if you're trying to hop on a Skype or a phone call or something with them right away. So I do not do any of those things. It starts with the job post, and the job post should convey some of your values of yourself or your company. And so the things that are important to you, right? And so some of the things that we value are moving at a fast pace, having a high impact, wanting to grow personally, and helping other people. And so we craft that into the language at the very top and just say, we're seeking someone who is, boom, in the very first part of the job description. If this sounds like you, read on. And so then we say, we're a US-based real estate company who's growing fast, and we're seeking blah, 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 with a few points. We're seeking someone who's capable of doing these things. And we'll go into the, the job description and the responsibilities. But then at the bottom, another key part is we say, to be considered for this position, please write us one line on why you're qualified and write us another line on what pay you want. And that's all. And there's only about 10% of the applicants overall who will do that. So that's the first sort of hoop that we make applicants jump through. And, if they can't read all the way through a short job post, are those the kind of people that we want handling the small details of our job? Probably not. So I make it a very hooky ad that makes them want to read on, and it gives them just a very small hoop to jump through. So then I only consider the next people who actually do that hoop. I have an automated text ready to go.
And how many, if you don't mind me interrupting, how many people do you feel like you get to, you say that small percentage who do follow those instructions to answer those two things? At what point have you whittled down to?
So I would say the average amount of applicants for a virtual assistant position right off the bat in the first 72 hours is about 50 to 70. We'll have 50 to 70 applicants within the first 3 days. And most of those come in the first 12 hours, right? Out of those 50 to 70, I will probably have 10 or 12 who have done what I ask in that application. So then that 10 to 12, I will take and I have an automated text that goes out next. And it just says, thanks so much for applying. We really look forward to speaking with you. Before we get on to the next round, here's please go watch this video on YouTube. And it's me sitting here like this saying, hey, congratulations, you made it to the next round. We're very excited to talk to you. In order to see if you're qualified for this position, I need you to do this. And I read a script and I give them the URL for the script. Take as much time as you want and please read it for me back. If you send it in an audio format, fantastic. But if you really want to jump to the front of the line in the hiring process, make a video of yourself saying the script. And so then I'll get applicants back. And I really don't prioritize if someone does video or not, but it shows me they're a little more outgoing.
Yeah.
And then from the 10.
And if it's okay, I'm going to jump in real quick there.
Sure.
And just add a thought of how effective that is. I know John Jonas is the creator, the co-owner of onlinejob.ph, and he will emphasize over and over and over, don't do video interviews off the bat, because the tendency of the culture in the Philippines is to be very reserved and kind of on the shy side, and you will lose 50% of your applicants. And I've talked to other entrepreneurs who say exactly the same thing. They say, I just know if I do a video interview, 50% are going to check out,
Yes.
Which is really unfortunate. And so I think there's a lot of wisdom in that idea of having them create a video, because then they have the opportunity to pause, to edit if they want, and really do it in their own time and their own comfort zone. So I think that's fantastic. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, then the next step is I say, read me back the script, or like say the script. And so video is like preferred, but from that 10 or 12 initial applicants who jump through the first hoop, I probably cut that in half at this stage. Probably half will reply. And then, with that other half that doesn't reply, probably half of those say, I'm going to do it, but just never do. And then the other half I never hear back from.
And
so
I'm going to jump in real quick again and just say, thanks for your patience with my interrupting, but it's critical for you to do this and hear their voices and their English and their script, because half of what you're hiring them for is communication, is cold calling, right?
Absolutely.
So that's something I just wanted to know as well, that when you are looking for someone who is customer service based, who's going to be verbally communicating with people, that it's a great idea. And that whole video concept is a really fantastic way to do it without scaring some of your best potentials. Okay, I'll let you keep going, Josh.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. So then from that 10 or 12, I probably get 5 or 6 responses back in terms of completed script readings, whether it's on video or audio. And from that 5 or 6, usually I'll think 2 to 4 are super candidates, right? They could definitely check off this box. And so I'll ask them, I'll connect with them on a message and ask them one thing, and then ask them to set up a time just to do a 5 or 10 minute chat, on Skype. So really I've taken it from, usually I would say my average ad performance, oh, let me back up to the beginning. I'll also take that same ad that I do, copy the ad and put a new headline on it. So I'll have 2 ads attracting the same exact talent pool. So in the first 72 hours, I'll kill the loser. I'll take away the one. One will have 50 applicants and one will have 3 applicants. I will take off the one that has 3 applicants and I'll do it again with a different headline, slightly tweaked, or slightly tweak something in the body of the text. And I'm trying to get 2 super ads going to get me 30 or 50 applicants each, because it is a numbers game. Get 50 applicants, I'll get 10 to 12 people that apply the right way, and then I will get, I'll get 3 to 5 that send me the video, and I'll have my 2 to 4 whittled down for interviews. And I can do that all within 1 week. I'll go from 50 applicants down to my 2 or 3 that I want to schedule for a 10-minute talk, right?
Nice.
But I'll do that with a few ads. So hopefully I'm talking 3 to 5 people total for 1 job position inside of a week. That would be successful for us.
Okay. What are like the top 3 things that you look for, the qualities and qualifications? Obviously, fantastic English speaking abilities and communication abilities, because I imagine you have them doing email marketing as well and in some other capacities. So outside of their English skills, which are phenomenal for anyone who doesn't know, English they have a dual national language. They've got Tagalog, and then English is the second national language. It's how they learn in their public schools. It's the programming that they watch on television. They're amazing. So outside of English, what would you say are your 1 to 3 most important attributes that you look for in a candidate?
Yeah, that's good. So like you said before, in the Philippines, they do tend to be shy and standoffish. And so I want someone who can be a little bit more boisterous. So when I'm talking to them, I don't want someone that is, just going to say, answer the questions very shortly, right? I want them to know that it's a 2-way street of communication. So I'm looking for someone who will ask me questions and speak up about something. And so that's a quality, especially in the roles that I'm hiring for. Let's face it, sometimes you're going to need to interrupt people or ask for clarification. Or, if they tell you no, you're going to politely need to circle back to it and ask them the question again, right? So being a little more boisterous, I think, is an important quality, just specifically for what we're doing for telecommunications skills. I think another one that I've come to find over time is reliability. And I asked this about past jobs. Tell me a time, when your boss knew they could count on you, or tell me a time where you went above and beyond to be like a great team player. Because let's also face it, the Philippines, they lose power. And some people that I've talked to will take advantage of that and say, oh, I lost power, I can't work today. Where other people will drive to the local cafe and get Wi-Fi. So reliability and being committed to, those are very important. And then third, I would say someone who wants more than just the role. They're ambitious. They want the role for now, but they don't want to do the role forever. So the people that I hire to cold call, in the future, I want them to move up and be a follow-up specialist for me who work closely with the people in our office. So I want people who are like, hey, if I do this, what are the next steps? Can we talk about a raise? Can we talk about a bonus? Right? I want the people who are not content just to work in that box and report to the job every day and turn in the minimum requirements. So I'm definitely looking for someone who seems ambitious. Here, I've come to find this out too, especially the ones that ask for more money than I think I'm willing to pay. I found that to be a good trait when I hire someone, or when I'm interviewing someone and I'll usually advertise for $4 to $10 an hour plus base. And I want the people, I find it to be true that a lot of the good ones will say, well, my last job, I got paid $8, but I really want $10 an hour because I'm worth it. And here's why. People will come back, and it's very few and far between, because again, the Filipino people are kind of standoffish and non-confrontational. But my video editor was like that. I said, can I pay you $7.50 an hour? And she said, no, I really think I need 10 because I know I'm worth it. I've worked with so-and-so and so-and-so, and I think the results are pretty good. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to bargain you now. I'll give you $10 an hour. That's no problem. So those are the three I think that have led us to success so far.
Yeah, way to isolate your outliers. Okay, so in doing real estate, you have to have some serious coordination with your team. How do you manage? What kind of like software do you use? What kind of communication systems do you use? And how do you stay linked to your team where you've got thousands of miles between you?
Yeah, it's really crazy because there's a lot of people that use a lot of high tech, and we have a lot of different tools per se. So we have a dialer and we have our CRM, and there's things to look up properties about the values and such. But really with communication, it's all over Skype. It's all over Skype. And for some reason that really took off in the Philippines. Everyone has Skype over there. It's free. And so we're always using the chat feature to send leads back and forth, as well as our CRM. But we communicate with our virtual assistant team every single day, usually in the chat. And then once a week we'll do on a video huddle. So it was actually just this morning for about a half an hour. It's my two follow-up specialists, myself, my partner, and then two guys here in the office, and they're on screen so they can see the rest of everyone in our office. And so our teammates are saying, hey, Chris, I had this feedback before, when you said this, next time, can you try this, right? And so I bring them in for just a little slice of what it's like to be here in the office, but I think that goes a long way. So Skype mainly, but we bring them in to make them feel like a part of the team, and we make them feel like what they do is valuable.
Great. Can you tell us about, and I'm almost sorry to put you in this position,
Almost.
but not enough, not sorry enough. Can you tell me about anything that's completely bombed that just you had to learn from experience? You talked about you learned from experience with your job posting and things that you needed to change and tweak. Anything with working with Filipino VAs that you need to tell your people right now, this is what you need to avoid, this is what you shouldn't do, and learn from my mistakes?
I would say, I would preface this by saying that probably everything that I've done mistakenly was probably my fault. It wasn't anyone else's fault, even though I hired them. It was probably my fault, right? But I would say, again, the Filipino people are very shy. And if you say, can you do this? Most of the time, they'll say, yeah, I can do that. And so very early on, I probably hired a few of the wrong people. And they weren't bad people by any means. They were very nice to me, but you could just tell it wasn't their sweet spot for what I had them doing. And so I remember a few really funny conversations that they had. One girl that I had before was talking about the house, and she asked what kind of roof they had, and they said they didn't know. And she said, was it a bamboo roof? And, it's not a thing here in the US. And I don't know, I didn't train her well enough. She shouldn't have been in that position, but it wasn't detrimental. It was just something that people can learn from. So definitely know what kind of personality profile you should be aiming for when you're hiring a cold caller versus an admin assistant. And then you can start to screen for those things. But if you're just throwing it out there, I'm looking for a cold caller, and you assume that all candidates are equal without really testing them and putting them through the ringer a little bit, the results might not be so good.
Yeah. Okay. Is it okay if I take a second? I've compiled just a quick list of some of the things that people may not realize VAs can do for them, especially when they're specializing in real estate. So I'm just going to pull that up real quick here. And so just what you said, basically anything that can be done on a computer and anything you can train them to do, qualified Filipino VA can just rock out of the water. Some of the things that I've talked to other people about and that we've gotten feedback about are scheduling and managing your appointments, managing your posts, your listings, including like on MLS, Zillow, whatever platform you're using, video marketing, which I know is becoming a really big deal in the marketing section of real estate, that they can help create, edit, and post videos. Contracts, creating and maintaining your CRM, email marketing, direct mail marketing even, categorizing and soliciting feedback from buyers and people that you've interacted with, coordinating showings and open houses, your social media management, which is something you mentioned you do, bookkeeping and finances, helping you prospect FSBOs, maintaining electric filing systems and general data entry, cold calling, ordering supplies, anything on the phones that has to do with customer service, researching properties, which can be crazy time consuming, creating brochures and marketing materials, creating and maintaining your websites, your mailing list maintenance, creating and sending out monthly newsletters, ... Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, that was a pretty extensive list right there. I mean, there's core skills and then there's some specializations for roles that you could put them in whatever in your company. But yeah, I found pretty much all of those. Those are pretty much layups. But the list is really endless.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm going to throw a shameless plug here, which is truly shameless because it's free. But John published this last year. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, Josh,
I'm
but
not.
it's the Outsourcing Lever, and it's basically we started this project about 2 years ago, where he just said, I want to get all of the information we've done in blogs and trainings and modules, and I want to put it in a book, and I want to give it to people for free.
Wow.
That his whole goal with this was just to get as many people educated as possible. And so you pay shipping. All you have to do is go to the outsourcinglever.com. And I mean, it covers everything from ideas of things that you could test, so you can assign to your virtual assistants, to the best ways to communicate, to specific words to use in job posts that are going to attract the best people, things that cause the disappearing VA phenomenon, which I hope you haven't experienced personally, but it's the number one issue I think that outsourcers deal with. With that, it goes along with that kind of shyness and reserved culture, again, that we talked about earlier. So that's just what I wanted to share with everyone, because it's free. It's like $7 shipping to get it to your door at outsourcinglever.com. And it just gives you everything you need to get started or improve the experience that you're having.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so let me ask you a question then. From that book,
Okay.
it can even be something from that book.
Okay.
But I talk with. There's some people on right now. I know most of these people use. I know most everyone on here is using VAs already, particularly Filipino VAs. What are one or two keys for success when hiring and integrating them into your business? And then what are one or two things that they should absolutely avoid? Don't fall into this trap.
Okay. Training is the absolute key to success. I know that I have kind of unique experience because I get to work with John's team of 36 Filipino VAs. And so I am in the back system. I am working with them and see how I get to see how everything goes. We use Basecamp, and it's really, really incredibly important to one entrepreneur I talked to put it this way, to over communicate, especially when you're onboarding.
Okay.
To do it with a lot of patience and a lot of love. I know John likes to use Snagit to record everything, kind of like how you described earlier, so that it minimizes misunderstandings. And that's just the ability to come back and give feedback, and then let them tweak, and then give feedback and let them tweak. And when you first hire, especially, that process can seem like it's costing you a lot more than
Yep.
it's actually relieving you. And it's worth it. I've had people report that it takes, as if you've got a real great system in place already, if you've kind of automated this system like you were talking about that you want them to do, that it can be a week. And then I've talked to people who say, no, they're blogging for me and I'm trying to teach them my voice and my opinions, and it can take up to 3 months. But the thing is, after that time period, it's over. They've learned it. And not only are they experts now in the way that you've, kind of transferred that expertise to them, you can start to train them on more, and they can just grow with your business. So I know that would be the major thing, is put a lot of patience and time and detail into your training upfront. And then your next question was what to avoid?
Yeah, like what are one or two pitfalls to avoid or mistakes to avoid?
I would say that the thing that I hear most from John, and then again from other entrepreneurs is the way you communicate with them needs to be very positive. It needs to be encouraging, needs to be honest, and it can be straightforward and honest, but there needs to be a lot of encouragement behind it.
Okay.
That whole sandwich method of you're doing this great, and I really appreciated this. You need to fix this, though. This isn't working for me, and here's how.
Yeah.
Because that's something that can often trigger that disappearing VA phenomenon. If they tend to become embarrassed, sorry, not if they tend to become embarrassed, oftentimes, if they don't know how to do something, and I hate to generalize because for heaven's sake, we're talking about an entire country of capable virtual workers here. But what we've seen in the trend of the disappearing Filipino VA is that generally, if they don't know how to do something, or if they become embarrassed and feel like they can't come to you to ask you questions, they, instead of facing the shame of that, they'll just check out. I talked to someone just last week who said he had someone check out on him for 2 months and come back and say, I was out of town. And after going back and reviewing kind of their communication and whatnot, he realized he hadn't been very clear or hadn't been open enough to saying, I'm here to help, ask as many questions as you want.
Sure.
So I feel like I'm kind of running circles around myself here, but did that kind of...
Good. No, that was really good because in real estate, we're trying to close real estate deals, particularly over the phone. And a lot of times we will think we're close with someone on a deal. I'll say, I can give you 100,000, and they say, oh, that sounds good. Let me talk to so-and-so. Okay, let's circle back tomorrow. Then that person is a ghost, right? It happens. It probably happens 1 in 10, 1 in 12 times. Like not very often, but it's the same exact phenomenon. And why? It's because you didn't give them permission to say no. Is really what it comes down to. So I want to give you permission to turn this down right up front. But if you don't do that and you apply too much pressure, they're gone. They become a ghost. So same phenomenon right there. That's really interesting.
Yeah, perfect. Give them permission to ask questions, give them permission to be wrong, and give them permission upfront to have that openness with you of, hey, I'm here and my end goal is to get you to the place that get you mentally where I am. So
Yeah.
ask as many questions as you need and don't be embarrassed.
Yeah, definitely. Can we go like 5 more minutes? Are you okay with that?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, I got a few questions. Guys, if you have any questions about hiring virtual assistants, please drop them in the comments. I'll get to as many as I can. Please drop them below. But I have a question. It seems like it's becoming a lot more mainstream to hire virtual assistants, particularly in my niche of real estate. I really don't know a lot of other niches around that do, but I don't ask either. So I'm speaking for a lot of real estate. Now, I know we used to think of Filipino VAs as cheap talent who could really get the job done. So it's not just about cheap, but that definitely helps. And now my rates have definitely gone up to retain talent, right? When I find great guys on my team, I don't want them going anywhere. I want them staying working for me. And so I compensate them well enough for them to stay around. But for me, there's only like a limit of what they can do. What are kind of the upper limits or what are some of the higher end talent jobs that people are actually hiring some Filipino VAs for right now? Like how high does that go?
That's a great question. And it's hard for me to answer that in a specific real estate pool because I don't work so specifically in real estate. I would say, or I guess I could say John would say anything. The two things, what I can tell you are the two things that can be difficult to hire VAs for. And so I hope that is helpful in some sense. So I'm the only person that works for onlinejob.ph stateside. I'm the only team member over here. And I started out, I've worked for John and Dan now for 10 years, part-time. And I started out doing marketing copy. And just kind of touching up some things and some of the ambiguities that can happen when you're looking at crossing cultures and languages, if that makes sense. And so John's very open about that, where he'll talk about one of the things that can be difficult, not impossible by any means. We have a whole team of copywriters, and they are incredibly capable, and they publish tons on their own without it going through me. But we have to work hard to find those people. They're phenomenal. So that's one thing that can be a little bit tricky to outsource. And another thing is, I guess management positions.
Sure.
You don't want to hire up front for a management position in your company. Something that works really well for some people is to hire for something smaller, let them get to know the company and get to understand things. And as they grow with your company, like we talked about earlier, then kind of slide them into a place of, okay, can you oversee this project? Now that you know everything that's going on, could you try to oversee this project? Or would you just kind of stay on top of this task or this person? And he advises kind of growing project managers, if that makes sense.
A lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Last question. There's a lot of places to hire Filipino VAs in general, virtual assistants in general. There's a lot of places. A, why would someone reach out to the Philippines? And then B, why would they go to onlineJobs.ph? And I've got my answer. I'll answer for you as well.
Yes. Oh, I could go on about this for quite some time, so I'll try to keep it brief. First off, there is that English ability that we talked about earlier, where it is their second national language. And so they're incredibly capable there, which is not always the case when you're outsourcing to, I will not name specific countries, but the other common outsourcing countries, the culture and the language are very different from the westernized understanding of English and whatnot. And again, where it's their second language or second primary language, and the a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The entertainment and everything is primarily Western there too. They're just incredibly apt with our expectations in that sense. They're incredibly loyal across the board. Again, this is cultural, and I have to step back again and say I hate to generalize, but you kind of have to in this sense. For the most part, they won't leave. Once you hire someone, they will stick with you and they will grow with your business, and they will just learn and become this incredible investment. And you don't have to worry about, on top of that, they're not super entrepreneurial. It's not, entrepreneurialism is not pushed in the Philippines. They're more content to have a job that gives them a paycheck that they know they can go home and take to their families and take care of their families that way. They almost, so many of them, education is highly prioritized in the Philippines. And so you will find tons of VAs who have college degrees when you go search at onlinejobs.ph. I've got a whole list in here that I know I am just bumbling through and missing a million things. But there's a whole chapter on why Filipino VAs are the most capable VAs in the world.
Yeah.
And as far as onlinejobs.ph goes, we are the largest database of Filipino VAs on the internet. We're not a middleman. We're not an agency. A lot of people will hire for you and then take half of the salary. And you have to communicate through that agency throughout the rest of your professional career and relationship. And your person who's doing the work on the other end isn't getting the money. And that doesn't seem fair. So we're just a job board. You come and it's a use as needed basis.
Yeah.
We have the 2 memberships available for $69 a month or $99 a month. And we have no contracts. You cancel your membership as soon as you find that person that you want to hire, you hire them. And it's just the 2 of you from then on out until you're ready for your next hire. We pre-vet our people. We have the ID proof. What's the word I'm looking for? this is why I do better with edited videos, Josh. You're good to put up
Totally
with
fine.
me.
Totally.
But we have ID proof. We offer disc assessments, ID testing, profile reviews. Well, we will link to their Facebook profile to kind of make sure that they are who they say they are. You can cancel anytime, no contracts, like I said earlier. And one last benefit, and then I'll let you go, is that you can find people who are looking for full-time jobs on onlinejobs.ph, and that will make all of the difference. And that's a whole other conversation, contract workers versus full-time workers, the people who are dedicated to you and giving you all of their time and energy versus being split between 10 different people. You know, they're not able to grow with your company and bring back your ROI in that way. So
Yeah, absolutely.
here
Yes,
we are.
to relay that, I think I have found that English language is so good for the majority of the ones that I speak to. They're very fit for real estate. They do really well in communicating to our clients. And then onlinejobs.ph is, I think of it kind of as like the Filipino Craigslist, honestly. It's like a job board, right? Where you can just post and then the people come back to you.
Minus the scammers. Minus the scammers.
Yeah, I've never had a scammer on there for sure.
I'm just thinking with Craigslist.
It's just the unbelievable amount of applicants you can get from one or two job postings really opens up the possibilities. So when you get good at attracting and then screening, you can get a lot better at hiring the right person. So I think just the sheer number of applicants I've been able to get in 1 or 2 or 3 days for some new job post that I just came up with because I had a new idea, you can have someone to plug into that role within 3 or 4 days if you want to, at a budget you can really afford. And I used to think of it a little bit differently until I asked one of my VAs, how much are you, well, you know, if you didn't have a job with me, what would you do? And he said, honestly, we would either telecommute about an hour and a half to go work in the BPO industry for like AT&T or Chase Bank or something like that. So an hour and a half, and the pay is between $6 and $8 a day per day, or work construction in my hometown, and that pays a little bit better. That's like $8 or $9 a day. And so for my guys now, I'm paying between $6 and $10 an hour, which means they're getting 8 times the normal salary that someone in their neighborhood is getting by working local. So I used to think of it as like, wow, I'm only paying them $3 an hour. How can they afford that? But the truth is, if you're paying them a decent wage, you're paying them far more than they could ever get. So you're helping them grow, and they really have helped me grow in my business. So that's really why I wanted to talk to you today, just because it was your specific site. The product that you offer helped us get off the ground and helped take it to the next level as well. So this has been super enjoyable.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. Reach back out if we can help. Guys, I'm going to post my link to onlinejobs.ph below. If you use the affiliate link, I'd be happy to send you all the videos. I think I have 3 or 4 hiring videos specifically on how I hire on their site on onlinejobs.ph. You can set the rate for which you're looking to pay someone. You can set the hours, all that kind of stuff. So I'd be happy to help. I'm going to post the link below if you're interested in learning about their site a little bit more. So anyway, guys, hope you got a lot of value from today, how we're hiring and using virtual assistants, particularly in the Philippines, to scale your real estate business. Well, thanks for your time, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you later on.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.